an easy, inexpensive, portable altar that you can make yourself. Hello friends and spiritual seekers alike. Today we're going to be making a portable altar. This I found at Walmart. It was the only tray that I could find that was mostly natural material. It's mostly wood with a few metal accents on it. I tried multiple things to try to remove the paint, but it was just not working, so I'm just going to cover it with black paint. I just got standard craft acrylic paint, and I'm just going to start covering up all of those sides. If you like these types of videos, I also do tarot card readings and meditations. Make sure that you like and subscribe, and make sure that you comment down below, what do you do for your altar? I live in a very small space, so I can't have a permanent altar up. I just don't have room. All of my shelves and any of my furniture that I could possibly have an altar on is just full of other things. So this is a way that I've kind of come up with, is to have an altar that I can have, you know, up on storage so it's out all the time, but I can also move it around to where I'm doing any kind of spiritual work. So I can move it to my kitchen if I'm doing something on the kitchen table, move it to the living room, and if the snow ever goes away in northern Alberta, then I can even take it outside near my fire pit if I'm doing some work outside or doing any kind of like firework outside. So that is the first layer. While I was doing all of the painting and looking at the word wine, I needed to get me some wine. So I got some white wine here in my Drink Up Witches glass, which is classic. So we're going to take a sip of that. Perfect. All right, so while I'm waiting for the paint to dry, I'm going to be working on my Deity Cymbals. And so these I got at a dollar store long time ago, and they're just a cheap wood little containers. So I'm just taking the lids and I'm actually going to remove the rim, so then I just have the circular disc. I didn't want to put statues on this. A, I don't want it to be too heavy, and two, it's very small, so I don't want to fill it up with big objects. So I decided that the best way to kind of have a deity type, you know, statue or symbol is to make a basic symbol like that. So this is just me removing the second rim on the second disc. So now I'm going to start painting the symbols on, and I'm just using the same black acrylic paint. I'm going to be doing the standard horned god symbol. This is a symbol comprised of a circle, typically seen as the sun, and with the horns planted on top. And the goddess symbol. So this is going to be the full moon with the waxing and waning crescents. This is the most common symbol you see for the goddess and the god. I didn't want to get too complicated, and I didn't want to use statues because it would just make too much bulk in the tray, and it's pretty small to begin with. So here I'm putting on the last layer of paint. I ended up having to use actually 3 layers of paint. I'm not going to bother putting on a top coat. I don't want to add any kind of extra sheen or anything like that the paint isn't going to naturally do already. I decided on doing black instead of adding different colors or designs, because this is something that I'm going to want to change multiple times, so I don't want it to clash with anything that I want to do on top. So black, it's, you know, it's the classic everything color. It's going to go with everything that I may want to add onto it or change into it, especially if I'm changing due to the seasons, or if I want to do a specific, you know, love spell or something like that where I'm going to have lots of pinks. Well, I don't want to have a bunch of greens and blues on the box. It just wouldn't work for me. And we'll take a sippy of our wine. Maybe 2. Alright, so I'm going to start adding things now. So these are just decorative pebbles that I got, again, at the dollar store. These ones have a little bit of a yellow hue to them, which doesn't really matter. I have some green ones and things like that, but I wanted to use neutral colors in this one because I'm going to be adding multiple things on top of it. So again, you don't want colors clashing and make it too full or too muddly. So I just have these yellowishy hue pebbles for the 2 god and goddess corners. I have these beautiful pewter candlestick holders. I've had these for a long time now. On the stamp, it says they were made in actually 1992. I found them at a thrift store years ago, but they're going to be great for my god and goddess corners. And I'm just going to add a few more pebbles just to kind of stabilize those holders. The big candles are going to have the most, you know, the center of gravity higher up from the box. So if I'm moving this around, I want those big candles to be as stable as possible without actually gluing the candlesticks down. Because again, I don't want to have anything too permanent in this box, so I can change it anytime I need to. Now I'm just going to add my little symbol discs to each side. So I'm going to put the goddess on the left and the god on the right. Not for any particular reason, that's just what I felt like I was drawn to make their respective corners. So there's no, you know, big meaning behind that. That's just where I felt like I needed to put those corners. And next I'm going to be adding some offering bowls. So these are just, again, cheap little decorative bowls that I found at the dollar store. I think they're supposed to be like for cooking, like when you're dividing up spices and stuff. But I'm just going to put one again in each corner for offerings. And more wine. Yes, all the wine. That's what we need when we're making altars. All right, so more decorative pebbles. These ones more have a grayish hue. Again, just using neutral colors. And this thing of pebbles, I'm just going to be shaking it out kind of a little bit randomly. So in the middle there, I have a little bit more because I'm going to be sticking candles in there. So I wanted a little bit more bulk. And then I'm just going to be filling up another 2 of the corners. Just lightly, just to kind of fill the bottom so it's not just a plain bottom underneath. Just adding the rest of the yellow hue that I had mixed into the middle there. And I'm going to be adding my element corners into that middle section. So I'm putting in the element candles, thinking it was going to be easy, just shove them in the pebbles and they were going to stand up. Well, that didn't exactly work exactly how I imagined. So if I had my time back, and I could have easily taken out the pebbles, I would have either glued them down or just like melted the bottoms to stick them down onto the wood and then add the pebbles after. So I mean, it took a little bit of jostling and moving the pebbles around and things like that to get them stable, but I eventually did it. I could have saved myself some trouble by sticking them down before. So if you're doing something similar to this, I suggest melting the bottoms and stabilizing them down onto whatever flat surface you're putting this on, and then add the pebbles after for that kind of additional security. There, now they're all standing up. So next I'm just adding my goddess and god candles. So for goddess I chose green because I really want to base down on earth. Oh, wine break real quick. So I want to base it on earth lately, just because with the spring we need to get that earth energy going. Let's warm it up already. For God, I chose to go with a spirit candle. Now spirit candle for me is purple, so that's why I chose the purple candle for the god. I have a bunch of big seashells here, just again dollar store probably is where I got those, and that's what I'm going to use to represent water. I didn't want to add another bowl and another element to like have to try to balance, especially if I'm moving this around. So I didn't go with a chalice or anything like that. I decided to just use seashells to represent water, which I've done a lot in the past and I've never personally seen any issues with that. So that's what I'm going to go with this. So I'm in that last section there where I didn't add any pebbles. I'm just going to add an assortment of seashells, and I'm just kind of picking through the bag, looking for different ones that I'm drawn to, and that's what I'm just going to add in. Next, I'm adding an incense holder. This is actually from another type of, it was like an incense Buddha statue thing that I have. So I just took the actual incense holder from that. I'm just going to add it into here because it's super easy and basic. Oh, another wine break. Nice. Okay, so this is a card. This is actually from one of my tarot decks. You know how you get that extra card that like has explanation on it, or you know, the credits and stuff? That's where that actually comes from. So this I'm going to add as kind of like an intention, to add an intention to the box. It didn't fit in the middle, so I ended up actually putting it on the God side, which after I put it there, that's exactly where it was supposed to go all along, but I'm just adding that for visual kind of intention. Next, I'm adding 2 feathers. This is going to represent our air. The incense for me represents air and fire because it contains both of those elements, but I'm just going to add in the feathers for an extra kind of air element. Now I'm grabbing some charms. So these charms, again, are for like intention purposes. So I have a mum charm to kind of pull in my ancestors, a pentagram for protection. I have a clock for time, and I have a little owl. So the clock, I'm adding that for, it's more of an intention to have the time to do my spiritual work, or taking the time to do my spiritual work. The owl is going to be my kind of seer animal. That's what the owl is to me, is just kind of seeing spiritually. So I'm just going to add that as well. Just again, for intention, that's something that I want to work on. That's something I want to grow. And of course, you always have to have your crystals. So I just have a wide assortment of different crystals. There's also some like prehistoric shells and stuff in there. So those, I'm not going to list them all out. There's a bunch, but I'm just placing them, again, by intention, and I'm placing them all over the altar. So putting some in the middle there with my charms, putting a couple over with my shells, putting some over with my air elements. And right in the middle of the candles, I actually put a nice teardrop shaped stone, and it stuck right up. Like as soon as I put it in, it stuck right up. I'm like, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want it to do. And if you notice, I don't have a specific like fire section, and I don't mind that because the candles, there's a ton of candles in this altar, and those represent fire. And again, the incense also represent fire a little bit as well. So that works for me. I've done that many times when I've done circles and altars, and it's always worked for me. And there we go. That's everything I'm going to add today to this altar. Oh, gonna finish up that wine? No, not quite. All right, so this is the finished altar. These are all the little sections, how they look close up. I really like how this came out, and it's simple, but it has a lot of power in it. There's a lot of intention. There's a lot of elements that are going to be working together in this little portable altar. So that, again, I can move this around and move it to anywhere I'm doing my work, and I can change it very easily anytime I need to. Even with the pebbles, I can dump them all out and just add them to the, like re-add them to sections if I needed them, which would be very easy to do, or completely change them out entirely. And here it is with all the lights on and the candles going. It's beautiful. If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. Comment down below, what do you do for your altar? Do you have a stable altar? Do you just build it and break it down every time that you need one? And let me know if this is an idea that you like. Is it something that you are going to try to do? And if you do, definitely tag me on Instagram at @SavedByASpell. I would love to see your guys' altars. All right, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time.